beautiful, medium-sized brown-colored moth, growing up to 2 centimeters in length and up to 4 centimeters in
And
wingspan.
although
For
we
you,
consider them
they may look boring, and if you own a beehive, you can downright hate them. I find them beautiful. Frequent, yet unwanted, visitor of beehives, they parasitize on the wax combs, by females laying eggs in strategic places so they aren't detected by the hive and later on the caterpillars producing loads of silk. That can stunt the growth or even stagnate the colony. Despite their status as pests and parasites, lab scientists found a fascinating use of them by observing a controlled process of nematode infestation, or recently discovered, as a surrogate tuberculosis pathogen test subjects. This is because the complex innate immune system of these moths, especially at their larvae stages, resemble human immune system structure, and the pathogen accumulates in them much like it would in humans. Turns out that their immune system structure is much more similar to humans than even other mammals, and their quick life cycle and large fertility provide much better study source than more popular mice and rats. Its origin are in Asia, but its successful parasitization on beehives resulted in their population spreading across 4 North American countries, in South America, as much as 10 countries in Europe, as well as got their hold of Australia and New Zealand. Currently, it's seemingly cosmopolitan. Due to this widespread use, people found out that they can be a pretty tasty and caloric treat for their captive animals. Currently, both larvae and adult imago moths are used in feeding both vertebrates, frogs, lizards, and invertebrates alike. Maybe they are not the most attractive moths on the list, but one of the most fascinating, that's for sure.
Beautiful, brown-colored moth, with contrasting darker patches on top of paler-colored wings, a colorful abdomen and broad, typical moth-like wing shape. It's not a big one, its wingspan reaches 1/8 cm at least and 3 centimeters at most, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in distribution and stunning appearance. A cosmopolitan species, its range covers all the world's continents, except the North and South Poles, where the temperatures are too extreme. It mostly feeds on grain material, as well as other, crop and vegetable matter. Of course this applies to the caterpillars only. As soon as they mature into imago, the moth loses its digestive tract as well as its feeding apparatus. That's right, they have no mouth but they must scream. And now seriously. That means that adult life forms live only to procreate and their lifespan is only a couple of days. They emerge from a pupae, they fly, mate and lay eggs. That's it, afterwards they just die. But their eggs hatch quickly afterwards. Quick lifespan sounds depressing, but for these colorful, toffee-colored winged beauties, these few months from an egg, though a larvae, into an adult, is their entire life and they live it the best they can. Something we all could learn from, honestly. As an anthropogenic species, they are found wherever people are found and therefore, often parasitize on their crops. But they are not nearly as despised as aforementioned box-tree moths or wax moths.
This beautiful yellow-colored moth is known for their caterpillars perfectly mimicking a tree branch. The larvae's brownish-gray body with darker patches and elongated body structure serve as incredibly effective camouflage against its natural predators, like birds and carnivorous insects. While the caterpillars are as non-eye-catching as possible, this cannot be said about the imago. Bright yellow wings, pale yellow body and huge indigo-black eyes make for a beautiful watch. A medium-sized moth, its body length does not exceed 2 centimeters while its total wingspan usually stays right below 4 centimeters. The caterpillars morph into imagos between May and July and they immediately begin their mating flights, at the end of which males mass copulate with females. Fertilized ladies lay eggs in clutches, sometimes once, sometimes as much as twice a year.
This beautiful moth is as harmful as it's pretty, and like in the case of greater wax moth, it's seen as a great nuisance here in my country. Here, when many gardeners keep box trees, which are main food source of the larvae of the moths, the caterpillars wreak absolute havoc, being vastly abundant in entire Europe and requiring often radical chemical solutions to kill them off before they eat the trees away. The box trees are main source of caterpillars' diet, and because the females lay eggs in groups, small clutches of 10 to 30 eggs, but because they are laid on a single plant, once the eggs hatch, the tree is pretty much doomed for consumption. And because caterpillars, being caterpillars, they eat a lot, the gardeners portray them as their number one natural enemy, causing destruction even greater than wax moths inside beehives. The imago doesn't live long, but when they are still alive, they can cover incredibly large distances, sometimes crossing continental borders. This is actually how this Asian native moth found its way and acclimated here in Europe. Pretty as a caterpillar with contrasting black head can and bright green body with dark dorsal stripe, as well as stunning as imago moths, be it in their normal form, brown and silver, or melanistic form, shimmering in purple, it's hard to believe something so pretty can be so destructive.
These large, fluffy moths come by many names, the most common one being silk moth, due to the cocoons they spin as caterpillars being made into a natural silk. These large, fluffy moths come by many names, the most common one being silk moth, due to the cocoons they spin as caterpillars being made into a natural silk. During their life cycle of about 7 months, the caterpillars eat enormous amounts of mulberry leaves, growing really fast, until they reach their 4th and final molt. That's when the larvae start spinning their cocoons from a single strand of a fiber excreted from their head and end up making a large bowl of soft but incredibly strong fiber that in the past was so commercially used that now no Bombyx mori exist in a wild. Hence, only domesticated moths of this species exist, being kept both as pets and as a source of fiber from thick cocoons. Their domestication is also the cause behind their unusual for a moth, leucistic white coloration. The wild form it originated from, Bombyx mandarina sports typical brown moth appearance. These fluffy flyers are ready to mate as soon as they emerge out of their fibery cocoons, and males immediately start looking for females that secrete a special aphrodisiac-like substance, drawing in the males. Adult moths are pretty large, their wingspan can reach up to 4 centimeters, with their heavy, bulky body being even larger and wider than that. Yes, that means domesticated moths are incapable of flight. But hey, it also means they won't escape you that easily. Sometime after the successful mating, the female can lay up to 500 small eggs that can hatch from 3 to 6 days afterwards. Adult moths live up to 2 weeks only and mate only once in their lifetime, with females producing only 1 clutch of eggs each, which is why harvesting moth silk was so controversial. 500 eggs per female seems much, but if we take into account that a lot of cocoons need to be harvested for production of silk, it means many, hundreds even moth larvae killed in their cocoons before they start emerging. This is done because when the emerging moth will finally break the cocoon's continuity, the remaining fibers will be rendered useless for cloth production. Now, you can put 2 and 2 together. Mass production would mean mass deaths of thousands of caterpillars. Luckily, artificial sources of silk-like fibers exist to diminish the scale of natural silk production, and most silk moths now serves the role of either feeder insect for animals like spiders, lizards, or frogs, or as a pet in their own right. Yes, this lovely baby is a butterfly. More a day moth than a proper moth, but still. Just look at this Calibra-looking baby and tell me it's not cute. Yes, this lovely baby is a butterfly. More a day moth than a proper moth, but still. Just look at this Calibra-looking baby and tell me it's not cute. At times called our European colibri, despite being invertebrate, due to its incredible behavior and movement characteristics. Its hovering flight, quick-moving, bright white patches on the abdomen so similar to tail feathers of South American hummingbirds and pollinating behavior often makes people unaware of its invert nature to confuse them with birds. As you can see, this little butterfly do have a feeding tube, and as you may expect, the ability to eat significantly prolongs the lifespan of imago. They can live up to a few weeks, which for a butterfly, is as if they lived forever. Such lifespan allows them for more than 1 brood per year, leading these moths to quite a successful population growth. Females lay around 200 eggs, each laid by the moth on a separate feeder plant, so the youth are reared separately on separate plants the larvae have onto themselves. The larvae are hatched yellow, but as they grow and molt, they change color to beautiful vibrant green. They molt 5 times, until they reach a final instar and pupate. After emerging from the pupae, the hummingbird moths are around 4 to 5 cm in wingspan, their colorful body contrasting sharply with masking brownish-gray color of the wings. This moth doesn't even seem real, but I assure you it is. Like previously mentioned hummingbird hawk moth, it belongs to Sphingidae family, that still retain their digestive tract as imagos. As nocturnal pollinators, they frequently feed on European flowering plants that open during nighttime, a source of food, while helping the plants reproduce at the same time. Their ability to eat does not only give them unique ecological niche, but also significantly prolong the moth's adult lifespan, with the imagos living as long as 4 weeks. Gravid females tend to lay eggs together, a behavior pretty unique to moths in general. Around a month later, the eggs hatch and brown, hairy caterpillar emerges, that eats, molts and grown, soon turning huge and vibrant green. The green cutesy crawler then molts 4 to 5 times in a span of about 27 days, after which they pupate and finally morph into a full-blown imago, with their adorable caramel-colored body, white antennae, and pink-flavored wings and abdomen. Because the larval stage feeds on a variety of different plants and leaves, this species is not widely known for doing much damage in the gardening industry, nor in the environment, as the damage is spread pretty evenly.
No, this is not AI. No, it's not CGI either, nor is the moth photoshopped. This cotton candy-looking butterfly is very much real. The lemon-yellow body with soft pink legs and wing patches make this lovely moth a pro at cosplaying as a lovely flower bud, and I assume it's their way of camouflaging among floral environment. Even their caterpillars are amazing, with contrasting black and white stripes, mimicking living tissue of a plant they must feed on, in order to grow, pupate and metamorphose. They are not only pretty at every life stage, they're secure at every life stage. The larval stage feeds off mostly maple leaves, on which the gravid female lays from 10 to 40 in a clutch, sticking them safely to the bottom side of the leaves, until they hatch and start feeding. After feeding on the maple and growing into a pupae, the mouthless, non-feeding imago emerges after about 2 weeks of laying dormant, safe and buried under the ground of the trees they fed on as larvae. The imago male and female look alike, but males have narrower, more slender wings and are less robust than females. Not a large moth, these yellow balls of fluff reach out 3-5 cm to 5-5 cm at total wingspan at max. They are excellent flyers and are most active during night time. Because of their short lifespan, with imago only living for a few days, the life cycle is very rapid and females lay eggs as soon as 24 hours after fertilization.
This one is truly a miracle. It's hard to believe it's a moth and not a day butterfly. The vibrant colors of both male and female bring colorful butterflies you can see during a hot summer day on a nearby meadow. Both the wings of adult moths and the exoskeleton of the caterpillar are vibrant green, with the moth sporting phenomenal white, yellow and brown coloration over its adult body. They exhibit clear sexual dimorphism, with males' wings being longer and narrower towards the bottom and of more grass-green color, while females' wings are broader, more toned-down green and sporting a patch on each lower half. These large moths can have wingspan as wide as 11 cm, with bigger individuals than average growing to as far as 17-8 cm wingspan. Their large, broad wing carry their rather robust body incredibly well and they are great flyers. Caterpillars spend most of their time eating and molting, growing up to astonishing size of 9 cm in length, and upon their 5th molt, they began their transformation into a proper imago form. Upon breaking their pupae, a hard, stiff, cocoon-like structure, the moths spend a few hours to properly enlarge and unfold their wings, upon which they are ready to mate from the get-go. To mate, they have a limited time, even more so than most other night moths, as their imago state only lives up to 10 days, during which it needs to find a partner, mate, and if female, lay eggs that will continue their legacy. Their short lifespan is mostly due to their inability to eat, as is the case with most other moths. The imago does not possess mouth, nor the digestive tract. After successful mating and fertilization, the female shows as plants preferred by their caterpillars as a food source to lay from 200 to 500 of pretty large, over a centimeter in diameter, eggs in small, separate clutches. Originally native to United States, these colorful moths frequently find their way to European countries, be it by their own wing, or more likely, by human-borne transportation of eggs or caterpillars.
This beautiful moth may look drab and boring, until it spreads its wings in their full capacity, revealing brilliant blue-violet and black eye patches, akin to peacock's tail feathers. It's a large moth, with wingspan reaching as much as 6 or 7 centimeters, being a bit larger and broader in females than in males, visible even in the resting position. For a moth so large and spectacular looking its larval form, the caterpillar is surprisingly silly looking. Like, just look at it and tell me it's not the coolest, yet the derpiest thing you've ever seen. Derpy, derpy derp. This thing that looks as if it had thin, spear-shaped dick on its butt, then grows, molts and finally pupates, its exoskeleton hardening and inside, its new skin and exoskeleton morphing. It's only after this derpy dick-assed caterpillar metamorphoses into a butterfly, when its true colors jump into action. The gray wings with rainbow-colored peacock eyes on them make in for incredibly attractive, contrasting watch. It molts and flies somewhere during midsummer period, when it mates and lays their eggs. The imago's lifespan is only about 5 days at least to 2 weeks at most. As adults they do not possess feeding apparatus, therefore they only live as long as the food reserves gathered as larvae allow them to.